Welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien, joined by Bengals cornerback Mike Hilton. Mike, I appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us. Let's start with your summer, with training camp right around the corner. How's your summer been? Have you gotten a little R&R, and are you ready to go for training camp?
Oh, what's up, James, man? Appreciate you having me. And, my summer's been well. When the season ended, I was able to take the kids on the cruise, so that was good. And then, really a couple weeks ago, me and my wife just got back from Greece, and that was an exciting trip. So it was definitely refreshing, and I'm ready to go. Year 8 training camp.
Let me know here how you do the kid cruise part, because I've started to strategize about it. It hasn't happened yet, but you got to get the balcony, I know.
Oh yeah,
But
for sure. Gotta get the balcony look.
yeah,
Gotta get the balcony. Gotta get a kid-friendly cruise. That's the most important thing. You gotta make sure it's a lot for them to do. And we brought our nanny, which made it a little easier. She would take them off, and me and my wife would have some time to relax and do our thing. So it worked out perfectly.
all right, so there it is. All right, I got to start saving for nanny. There we go.
It's the lifesaver, man.
I wanted to start with the offense, which I think a lot of our viewers would be surprised about, since you're the top cornerback certainly on the team, most established cornerback on the team, and I'll get to the cornerback room in a bit. But there's some new faces on offense, either in year one or certainly year two with the team. But what were your first impressions? And I know it's early, but of the Mike Gesicki's, of the Zach Mosses, guys that were signed to come in and contribute right away.
Oh, those are veteran guys. They've been around the league for a long time, and they made their name in this league over these years. So adding those two guys on top of the guys like Andre Yoshivas and Chase Brown, that's another year in the system. It's gonna be exciting to see all those guys come together and just make our offense go. We know they're already explosive, so adding those guys just adds another dynamic to our offense.
One thing that I think fans are hoping from an offensive standpoint is more explosive plays this year. A couple of years ago, when you guys made it to the Super Bowl, everyone thinks about Joe, Jamar, T, just all the downfield throws. Defense is adjusted as they do, but do you think a guy like Mike Gesicki, have you seen it already? And again, it was just OTAs in the offseason program, but do you think he can help that element
Oh yeah,
and
for
help the
sure.
offense be more explosive?
The way he can attack the middle of the field, he's a mismatch against backers and safeties because he's so tall and athletic, and he can definitely run routes for his size. So he's going to open up the middle of the field and give those chances to get 1-on-one with Chase and Higgins. Where they can make their explosive plays. So I'm excited about Mike and what he can bring to our offense.
You mentioned Andre, and my first impression of him in the offseason program was, oh, he's been lifted. He took
Oh
his
yeah.
protein this offseason. He just looked thicker right away. What is different about him this year? Have you noticed a change in his game?
Man, me and him actually been training at the same place this offseason. So I've been seeing that progress from when the season ended to where he is now. I've just seen him grow, and I'm excited for him. He knows a big opportunity is there for him this year, and he's going to take advantage of it. He's still working hard, and he's going to show that he's worth the hype he's been getting.
What's it like training with him? Let us know a little bit about Andre that we might not know. We know he likes
Uh,
the camera. I think
oh yeah, he like he's a weight room monster, man. As you can see, his physique has changed over this past year. He looks more explosive. Watching him run routes, he's looking cleaner out his routes, looking more explosive, and he's looking more confident catching the ball, with his hands instead of his body. So just seeing him take those steps, I'm excited to see him put it all together.
Another guy that is new, and he's a rookie, and you haven't seen a ton of him yet. No one has. But Jermaine Burton, what your initial impressions of the Bengals third rounder?
Speed. He's the guy that can get behind the defense. Something we've kind of been lacking. Honestly, outside of Chase, he's kind of that's what we've been lacking. He's a guy that can open up the defense as a whole and get behind them and just make it hard for teams. And we're excited about it. He's stepping into a role that he's probably gonna get a lot of reps and a lot of opportunities, and he has to take advantage of it. So during OTAs, he showed his progress, and I feel like he's gonna be a big guy for us.
How much can you tell from an off-season program where at best you're wearing helmets?
You can just see how explosive they coming out of their breaks, and like I said, how confident they are with catching the ball with just pure hands. Obviously, you need the body catch when the time is needed, but seeing them snatch it out the air and get upfield quickly, it's just the little things like that. And like I said, that's what I've been seeing from Andre. That's what I've seen from Jermaine at OTA. So I'm excited when the pads come on for those guys to really tune it up and get ready.
Let's switch gears. We'll get to you, I promise, and get to the cornerback room. I just, now that we're on the topic of offense and we talked about your cruise and trip to Greece a little bit, how about a trip to France? Did you know that Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase were going to France for Fashion Week?
Yeah, I didn't know. I did see it on Instagram a few times though. And then once Twitter got a hold of it, I saw it all over there too.
He is in Joe at least, wore something that I don't think a lot of people would wear, the backless suit. What was your reaction? I know he was on the Pardon My Take podcast. He said everyone's been making fun of him. Were you one that made fun of him, and what was your reaction?
I wouldn't say I made fun of him. It's kind of like that's Joe. He's comfortable in his own skin. You can just see from some of the outfits he wore during the season. He's definitely a guy that's just willing to take risks when it comes to fashion. And seeing him step out, do his model thing and wear the back of his suit. I can't say I'm not surprised, but that's Joe.
Yeah, I think I agree. I wasn't necessarily surprised because it's Joe. At the same time, I've never seen a backless suit, so I was like, oh.
Neither have I.
Because when he was walking towards, like with Justin, I was like, oh, that's a nice suit. Like he looks good. And then his back is just hanging.
Well, that's Joe for you though, man. He's a confident dude in his fashion.
As a defensive player, let's pretend you weren't on the Bengals for a second, which I promise is the only time we'll do this interview. If you're going up against Joe and you see that in the summer, is that something you're bringing up in the fall?
Oh yeah. You definitely got to talk about it. And see him across the field or something. I'm pretty sure he's gonna hear a lot of it during the year. So I think he knew what he was setting himself up for.
I think he likes that.
Oh yeah,
Joe,
he might seem like a real laid back dude, which he is, but I think he likes when people gravitate to him and just keep his name in their mouth. So that's just Joe.
We've certainly talked a lot about him on this channel, on the podcast, on probably every outlet that discusses the Bengals. They probably lead with Joe Burrow a lot of times, and obviously the wrist is a big part of that this offseason. It's been a huge discussion. Will continue to be going into training camp. When you saw him at the start of the offseason program and he's throwing, what was going through your mind leading up to that, and then seeing that he's throwing and it was a spiral and he still had his accuracy and all of those things? What was going through your mind during that?
Man, it was a beautiful sight to see. Being without Joe last year, it was definitely tough. Jake's definitely stepped in and played the best he could. But some people are hard to replace, and Joe is just one of those guys. And just seeing him during OTAs, he looks confident in his throwing ability. He looks like he's starting to get his swag back and feeling like himself. So it's gonna be a big training camp for him. I'm sure he's gonna be a lot smarter when it comes to the way he takes care of his body and. He knows the team needs him, and he's going to do what he can to be healthy throughout the year. So we're excited to have him back.
Did you ever go through anything like Joe has from an injury standpoint? And I don't mean the specific injuries, but this offseason, multiple times he's talked about, and maybe I shouldn't necessarily practice through the pain when it's late July, or if he tweaks something or OTAs or last year, obviously with the cap, I think is what he was referring to, where he had the sleeve on it before the calf strain. Did you learn that, especially as a veteran now, where you're like, I don't need to be at my best on July 27th. It's about getting to September 8th against the Patriots.
Yeah, that's just that competitive side of our game. Guys want to be out there, whether it's OTAs, training camp. It's just that competitiveness inside of us wants to be out there. But as you go throughout your career, you got to be smart with how you use your body, how you make sure your body is fresh as possible going into the season. And he's been hit with some significant injuries over his last couple of years, and sometimes it takes those type of injuries to kind of realize, like, okay, I need to be smart about how I go about my business, how I go about training for my body during the off season. And I know he's a guy, he takes his training serious, and I can just tell over these last couple of months, he's being a lot smarter, and he's going to be prepared for the year.
One more question on offense before we switch gears, get to the defense, get to you, and discuss Lou Anarumo's crew, because there are a lot of new faces, or at least same faces in new places on the roster. But before we do that, T. Higgins, he signs right after the offseason program ended. He signed the franchise tender. I don't think anyone doubted that he was going to sign the tag. Were you surprised when you saw that news that he signed it when he did, and that he was going to be showing up for camp on time?
I actually was. I was honestly expecting him to take the Jesse Bates route from a couple of years ago, waiting until right before training camp. But that just shows the type of guy T is. He wants to be in his locker room. He wants to be around his teammates. So, seeing that news, it kind of definitely brought a good joy to us as a team, knowing he wants to be back, and he's here for the long haul. So we're excited about what T can do. We expect him to have a big year.
I led the interview off by talking about Mike Gesicki, Zach Moss, Jermaine Burton, Andre Yosavash. Obviously, I could have asked you about Chase Brown. I could have went on and on about some of these young guys or new faces that the Bengals are relying on this year. But T. Higgins, what does he bring to the offense? What is his value to this offense and to this team, do you think?
No, number one, he can run the whole route tree. For a guy his size, 6'4", 6'5", and be able to run a whole route tree and be explosive after the catch. That's not something you see in this league nowadays. And obviously what he's able to do once he gets inside the red zone, jump balls and back shoulders, just knowing he's a weapon that you can definitely count on in big times. He like I said, we're excited about him being back, and we expect a big year from him.
All right, now let's switch gears. I promised defense. Let's get to the defense. There was a lot of offense there. I probably threw you off, but I got to keep you on your toes, Mike. That's
oh yeah, for sure.
There's going to be a lot of questions. You're going to answer probably about 50,000 questions about the cornerback room during training camp. DJ Turner is entering his second year. You have Cam Taylor-Britt, who's obviously a starter going into his third year. But then you have Dax Hill, who's also going into his third season, going to compete with DJ Turner for that other outside cornerback role. What did you see from those guys during the offseason program? How have you seen them? On DJ's side, let's just start with him. I don't want to group them together. Have you seen him develop? What have you seen from him? And what are you expecting going into camp?
Oh yeah, he looks a lot more confident this year. He was thrown to a rough spot last year, pretty much being the starter with Cheeto recovering from his injury last year. It was a lot of pressure on a rookie, but he held it up pretty well. So we expect this year 2 jump to be massive. He's a guy we're definitely going to move around a little bit, put him in different spots, and get him on the field, because you got 4.2 speed. You can't let it just stay on the sideline. You know what I mean? Or he's a guy that we expect to make a jump and compete.
Yeah, I think what's so tough about it for any of these rookies, and obviously Bengals fans are excited about this year's rookie class, but last year DJ Turner, I thought, was shining during training camp, and early in the year was playing great, and I don't know if it's you hit the rookie wall or whatever it was, but teams found something on film and they started targeting him, but I didn't think he had a bad year by any stretch, and I think the last impression that people have is him being targeted more, but they kind of forget about what he did in training camp and early in the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the game. You go through some hardships throughout the year. He started out real good early in the season. Then obviously teams get more film on him. They figure out ways to attack him. And being a rookie is probably tough. You got so much on your plate that you have to respond. It's a week by week type of thing. And he's a confident dude. He never lost confidence, and we never lost confidence in him as a secondary. So having him get those early reps as a rookie is going to be big going into year 2 for him.
One thing, and I'll peel back the curtain for our viewers, that I liked, and it's I don't even know if you remember, but I was joking with you in the locker room during the offseason program, and I called DJ young or something, or inexperienced or something like that, just joking, and I said, "Oh, I'm just joking," and he was like, "Oh, I know." And he was like dead serious, like, yeah, I know you're joking. Like, you could see the confidence there. And there was no mics on or anything, but like I saw it. Not that he wasn't confident last year, but I think you have to be that way at corner because you're going to get beat sometimes. And that's just life in the NFL.
It's the hardest position on the field. The whole world is going to see if you get beat compared to if a D lineman is out of this gap. Unless you really know the game of football, you'll never really, see it. So his confidence is sky high, and he knows, like I said, we're expecting a lot from him this year, and he'll be up for the challenge.
You saw Dax start to make the transition to corner.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a unique couple of years for him, certainly.
For sure.
What do you think about him trying this outside corner spot? He seems to have taken it okay from a mentality standpoint, but do you think? I know they're saying it's a competition. Do you think he's got a shot there to push DJ and push for snaps?
Yeah, for sure. He's played a lot of football since he's been here, and obviously he's been moving around throughout the secondary. Him being that Swiss Army knife, he knows like he has to stay on top of every position. So him going outside corner is nothing new for him, and just seeing him throughout OTAs, he's gained a lot of confidence, and then working with Coach Birch has definitely helped him out. So I feel like he's going to be a guy that can step in, whether he's the starter or corner 3. He can step in and be consistent for us and be a guy we can count on.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting because that cornerback room, it's just it feels like it got young, super fast.
Oh yeah, real young.
And I mean, I think a lot of our viewers view Cam as a veteran now, and I get it. He's played a lot of ball. He's entering year 3. It's like, what? Like
probably 24 years old, 25 maybe.
Yeah. It's interesting. What were your initial impressions? Because I'm thinking about the back end of that room. Yeah, DJ Ivey working his way back from an ACL. He was impressive last year. He got hurt, and then Josh Newton as well is someone that I think the team is going to be relying on.
The youth we bring in, that all of them probably expect to come in and get some reps. Obviously, DJ working back from his ACL, it's going to be big. Once he gets back healthy and confident in himself and confident in his knee again, he can definitely be a guy that can push some guys for some reps. And then drafting Josh Newton this year, but he's a dog, man. He kind of reminds me of myself with his mentality. He's all about getting downhill and making plays on the ball. So I'm excited to see him come in and really get those reps against like guys like Chase and T, and see how he reacts when the lights are bright. But I expect him to be a guy that can come in and definitely be consistent.
When he lined up against Chad, did you think Chad had a shot?
No, man, Chad's too old. I knew Josh was gonna win that rep.
Chad's that's so funny. I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't necessarily expect that. But
that's that dog in him, man. Even though it was a play for rep, he went out there like it was fourth quarter and it pretty much embarrassed Chad. So it was a good thing to see.
Yeah, I assume you would do the same if you had to guard Chad now.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. There's no question about it.
Yeah, no, I certainly think you're right. I mentioned all the youth at corner. Just one quick question, safety-wise. You bring in Geno Stone, who played a ton of ball last year for the Ravens, worked his way up from being on the practice squad to now getting a second contract and being a key piece of free agency. And then you bring back Von Bell as well. Can the veterans in that safety room help make up for the lack of experience or maybe a little more youth in the cornerback room, you think?
I would think so. And for me personally, having Von back, having a guy that's been in the system that's been throughout the grind with me since I've been here, and having another veteran vocal guy, it kind of takes a little off of my plate to where I don't have to be as vocal, especially since our room is so young, that I can kind of settle down and start to play my game a little more. And then obviously his communication is going to make sure guys are lined up and knowing what we have to do in certain situations. So having Von back for me personally was big, and then bringing in Geno, a guy that can go get the football at the middle of the field, that's big. We know we got playmakers on the outside, and our safeties are just as much playmakers. So having those guys, I feel good about where our secondary is headed, and we definitely are going to grow together throughout the year.
Yeah, I think. Y'all stole Von. Let's be honest here. You stole him back. He's making money. He's still getting paid, just not by the Bengals. I think works for everybody involved.
Oh, yeah.
As far as you're concerned, and we're like 20 minutes into this thing, and I haven't brought you up at all, but it is from a defensive standpoint, we know what you bring. Where you mentioned Dax being a potential Swiss Army knife. The Bengals use you in a bunch of different ways. You played safety snaps last year. I'm not sure if people realize that. You took some safety snaps. Obviously, we know what you are as a blitzer, what you do in coverage and at that nickel spot. What is the offseason like when you're going into, what is it, year 8? Year 9? Year 8. You're going into year 8. What is this offseason like for you personally? Because it's got to be different for you versus a guy like Andre. Even though you guys are training together, he's trying to establish himself to get to year 8. You're year 8 trying to get to year 9, 10, et cetera. So what has this offseason been like from a training standpoint for you?
Me, it's just really being consistent at what I know I'm at. I mean, what I know I'm good at, obviously getting downhill, still being, I might not be the fastest guy long speed wise, but I know quickness is where, I make a lot of my money. Being able to maneuver around blocks and cover the quick, shifty guys inside. So, me, it's just being consistent and making sure my mental is still top notch, putting myself in the right spot to make the plays that I know I can make. And also just being a leader, that's why I really take pride in. I know the whole room is looking at me as the guy to lead and be the one that can make sure we're all settled down in big situations and locked in where we need to be. So I'm just trying to be as consistent as possible. And, I've been doing it for a long time, but I still feel good mentally, physically, and I'm ready to go.
How do you train? Because I should actually have clips pulled, because there are so many times when you're facing a defensive or an offensive lineman and you somehow get around them, and it's one-on-one, and 5'9" Mike Hilton is there, or 185, whatever you weigh. I'm not trying to, but and you're there, and you get around him to make the play, or force the running back inside, or force whoever to make a decision to cut back, or whatever the case is. How do you train for that? The quick twitch, because it's quick twitch, but it's also instincts, and it's not like you can just go to the gym down the street and do it, or maybe you can. I don't know. What's the training like?
Some stuff, like you said, instinct, some stuff you can't really coach, and that's just for every position. And I feel like that's kind of what separates me from just all the other slots around the league, is my instinctual presence. And obviously, my quickness is something that also separates me. But I go out, I run blitz drills against linemen as they're doing their one-on-ones, and I just do a lot of side-to-side work, something that I know is my strength. And like I said, I just try to be consistent as possible when it comes to that. And, just being me. I mean, it's kind of hard to explain it. It's just I let my instincts take over and be the playmaker I know I am.
Is there anyone in the league right now that reminds you of you? Because during the draft process, everyone was on the Mike Sanders-Strill train out of Michigan. But he's still new. So and maybe you think that he's similar to you. But does anyone remind you of you?
Watching his tape, he's probably the closest thing. But personally, like, I'm not trying to brag, but I just feel like I'm such a unique player, especially at my size, to do what I'm able to do and do it for so long. I don't feel like there's anybody around the league that can really do what I do and be consistent at it at that. So if I had to say, maybe Mike Sanders still, but like, I'm just a little different than most guys.
I agree. No, I agree. That's why when the comps were out there, I'm like, yeah, well, it gets tough. It's like comparing, and I'm not saying you're him, but it's like saying, all right, well, there's this undersized safety. He's going to be Honey Badger. Well, like, Tyrann Massey's really unique and not, really unique. So it's hard.
Just coming up, that was like one of the guys I really lived up to, especially throughout his LSU days. I kind of see myself being the type of player he was, and we kind of have. He's kind of okay. That's a good comparison. I compare myself to Tyrann when he was, especially in his Arizona days. That's when he was definitely the guy.
He you're right. That LSU found.
One of the best defensive tapes I've ever seen.
Insane. So he was there. I'm going to talk not bad about the Bengals because the draft is the draft, but he was there in the second round of the 2013 draft. I believe it was 2013. They took Margus Hunt at the time. And
Indeed,
I was like, oh
man.
my God, Tyrann Mathieu, like take him. And they didn't. He goes to Arizona with Patrick Peterson, and the rest is history, right? I mean, it's the
Yep.
perfect situation for him. So,
Yeah.
my favorite Mike Hilton moment. Could you guess? Could you guess what it is?
Are we talking on the field or off the field? Because we've had some off the field moments.
Your mind went
Uh,
there. Let's go. Let's go.
okay,
You
if we're talking about off the field, then I know you're probably talking about the tripping up Derrick Henry story.
because you my favorite thing ever. You guys dominate the Titans, and or you beat the Titans. I don't know if you dominated, but you beat them. It's a hard-earned victory in 2022. You beat them in the playoffs before, and afterwards, people roasted me. By the way, which I get, but I said something about you tripping Derrick Henry, and I'm glad you called me out. But that is my favorite thing. I bring it up to you probably once every 6 months. It feels
Oh
like,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
tripping up Derrick Henry. We'll roll to that clip here so someone can see it. What goes through your mind when you make it into the backfield and you're able to trip up Derrick Henry? Like
It wasn't a trip. Get it right. It
Tackle,
was a full-blown
tackle,
tackle. Make sure you get it right.
but that hasn't. But that is my favorite. Yeah, you tripped him up, but I don't know how the hell you did that. I know it's a
And that's why
tackle. I'm not saying you didn't tackle him, but my God, I
that's what
seriously
makes
don't
me
know.
unique. I don't think it's too many DBs that will consistently, because I did it like 3 times that game, consistently bring him down 1-on-1 and stop his whole momentum. I mean, that's just kind of like those instincts taking over for me.
You chopped him down. I mean, that's what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking a 5-inch difference, height wise at least, and then what? I don't even know what
Like
he's talking.
70, 80 pound difference, maybe.
Just insane. You have to deal with him this year.
Yep.
Again, 2 times
Twice
a year.
a
You think that's a good fit for Baltimore?
I believe so. He can definitely take some pressure off Lamar. They're still going to do what they do and run the ball, but that definitely adds another element to their game. And they also got the speed back with Justice Hill still there, and Keaton Mitchell was a guy that came on late. So they definitely still have some pieces in their backfield.
Last thing for me, and it's one that, well, selfishly, I'm hoping gets done because I want to keep talking about how you're tripping up different running backs or tripping different running backs in the backfield. But your contract, you're going into a contract year. The Bengals hadn't been known to extend the veterans that there just aren't many guys that are pushing 30. I'm ancient at 32 years old for the Bengals, just to give you an idea. So that are pushing 30 that they've extended, but they extended Ted Karras. They added a year onto his contract I think it was in June. It was in June. It was during OTAs.
Yep.
Is there a chance, Mike, that something gets done? Because I want to see it get done, of course. But they're young in that cornerback room. Is there a chance you think that Mike Hilton signs an extension since you're going into a contract year?
I would believe so. I feel like over these first 3 years, I've shown what I've contributed on the field, off the field, and in the community. I feel like the team looks up to me as a leader. I definitely would love to retire as a Bengal, but I also know the business side of things. So if things don't work out, I know I'm gonna go play this 1 year, and try to help this team win a Super Bowl. But hopefully, we'll be signing some papers in a couple of weeks, Lord willing. So when the timing is right, we'll see.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think last thing, because I am curious about this, like how you view it, because I'm sure you're planning. How do you view your game aging? Because you mentioned it, you don't win with elite long speed or anything. You're not 4.2 or anything like that, which is rare, but you're still winning. Do you think that ages for the next few years? And Mike Hilton is going to be the same Mike Hilton in 2025 and 2026?
Oh, definitely. I feel like my play isn't slowing down. And just based off last year, Lou was kind of able to take me out of certain situations, still keep me on the field, but not put me in, some situations that don't match what I do best. But I definitely feel like I can continue to still be a consistent player, a player that can go out there and make plays and be aggressive and just help the team win. So, like I said, hopefully things work out, and we'll see in the next coming weeks.
I hope so too. I don't want this to be the last year that I can bring up the fact that you tripped Derrick Henry. No, but in all seriousness, I really do, I like this core, and there's a lot of pieces leaving, and personally I don't like that. I hope you stay. I hope you sign a multi-year extension. It would probably be next month. Training camp's right around the corner, but late July, early August, something like that, and we can ask you about. Maybe I'll ask to borrow $1 afterwards. Maybe.
Look, man, I hope things work out that way. Only time will tell.
Mike, I really appreciate the time. I went longer than I expected with you. You've been great. Thanks for breaking down the team, and I'll see you soon at training camp.
All right, James. Appreciate it.